Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 333, November the 18th, 2025. So let's jump right into what I've been working on. So I think I have shown this before, but I was going to talk about this in a little bit more detail. So this is the Claus's Christmas tree, and I believe it came from, I want to say Creative Kiwi. It may have been Sweet Pea. Either one. I always get them mixed up, but whatever. You can do a search. You'll find it. It is done in the hoop. That's in my embroidery machine. And it's done in 3 sections. And you sew them together in the machine, which is kind of neat. First time you do it, it might be a little tricky. But this one turned out pretty good. I'm trying to think, did I have any problems with this? No, I don't think I did. It stitched out very nicely. So let's move on to the next thing. And the next thing is this table runner. I have just got the top done. I haven't got it quilted yet. I think I'll put it on Lucy to do this. This was a very simple design, and it was a kit. And the kit had all the squares cut out already, and it came with the fabric for the borders and everything else. Very fast to put together, and very modern looking, I think. So I might fancy it up a little bit with a little fancier edge-to-edge quilting design on Lucy. I've got another table runner out there that's been sitting in the Lucy room for several months, quite a few months actually. That is a sort of a Christmas table runner, although it could be used because of the pattern in it. Throughout the winter. It's out there waiting to be quilted as well. And so I'm trying to think maybe if I can find sort of a neutral backing in my stash of backing fabrics, and I can put both of these table runners on at the same time and just let it go. And then those would be quilted, and then all I'll have to do is just do the binding, which, doesn't take all that long for something like this. So we shall see. But this was a simple design. I think I mentioned that I got it at the shop hop that we went to back at the end of September. That's where I picked that up. And this one I hate. Now, yesterday on my blog, I mentioned that I hate it, and you probably wonder why I hate it. I hate it for a couple of reasons. First of all, I hate the design. It just reminds me of something that would be in my grandmother's house. Not that I hated my grandmother, just that, do I dare say it? Well, I say it all the time. It's old lady. It really is. It's reminiscent of doilies. Now, I have doilies in my house, but I've been replacing them or just getting rid of them over time. And many of them are doilies that I made back in the day when I used to crochet. And that was back many, many years ago. And I used to do the really intricate doilies. Don't ask me to do one of those today because I don't remember how to do it. I would definitely have to have a refresher course in crocheting. But I'm not that interested in crocheting anymore. But anyways, back to this. So I had some problems with this. This is an in the hoop design. And the reason I got the file for this was, one, it was on sale, like for under $5. And 2, I thought, well, it's kind of different because it has all this lacy parts to it. And I wondered how those would work out. And they worked out not too badly, but this is another reason why I don't like it. I did end up having to throw this in the washing machine. There's a lot of water-soluble stabilizer in it, and I wanted it to be very soft. So usually when I do things with water-soluble stabilizer, I want them to be stiff. So I leave some of the stabilizer as I'm rinsing it out in. But in the case of this, that looked like a piece of cardboard. So I threw it in the washing machine, and really I laid it flat to dry. But if you can see all the lacy parts, those are kind of crooked. And that happens when you wash things like this. And I know I should have probably laid it out on the wool mat to dry and pinned it around and straighten each little thing up, but to be honest, it wasn't worth my effort for that. Plus I made some mistakes. You'll see some little rough edges here on the inside of this. I don't know why they are, but they are. And up here I had a little problem. This is the first join, this first piece on the end, and then there's two pieces in the middle and then another piece that mirrors what's on this end. Okay, so what I did was, to join it, there's a zigzag stitch initially, and it eventually gets around to zigzagging over top of that, or satin stitching over top of the zigzag. I use black thread. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was thinking, well, the white thread will cover it up. Well, it didn't, it didn't. If you take a close look at this, it looks a little darker up here. That's the black thread underneath poking out. I didn't do it on any of the other pieces, but I did it here. Yeah, it's not that noticeable, but I notice it. I also don't like these, how these turned out. The cutouts or whatever they are. They look rough. They look like somebody took scissors to them. And now, I didn't take a picture of the back of this, but I made an oopsie on the back too. On the back, you're to put down at a certain stage of the stitching another piece of fabric, and that covers up all of the satin stitches and everything that are here. So you have like a plain back. Well, I did that for all the pieces except this last one. I got distracted, forgot to do it, and so you can see all the satin stitching from the back as well. Now, if you never turn it over, you'd never know. But overall, I just don't like it. So you're going to say, what'd you do with it? Did you throw it out? No, I didn't have the heart to throw it out. I put it in my buffet drawers where I keep some of my table runners and stuff, and thought, well, maybe someday down the road it'll come in handy for something. Yeah, I don't know. It'll eventually get thrown out. That's what'll happen. And I made this little guy. Now, you probably know, of course, I like gnomes. But there are a bunch of gnomes that I believe this was by Creative Kiwi, that they have a gnome for each season, each special event in a season, like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Easter, St. Patrick's Day. And I have them all, and you've seen them before. I hang them up on my cupboard doors, soft camera right now. And so I didn't have one for Christmas. So I saw this little guy. He was on sale. He cost about $5 Canadian. And I put him together. He's an in the hoop project, in the hoop applique, and he's done in 3 sections. And I think he looks pretty good, but there's a couple of problems with him as well, which I covered up. First of all, it wasn't my fault. All right, I want to say that right off the bat. Generally speaking, it usually is my fault, but not this time. This is done in 3 pieces. You have this bottom piece underneath the package that is the beard, and then you have the center piece, which are the arms and the under his nose, all this part, and then the third part is the nose and the hat. And these get joined together, like I was saying how I joined together the one with the clauses in it. Okay, so usually your machine stops when it gets to the point where it's going to join 2 pieces together, and it allows you to match the pieces up, get them secured, and then it does the zigzag across to join them, and it carries on with all the other stitches, including the satin stitch. So I'm merrily working along on the middle section here. I already had the bottom section done, and it came to this part, and it was doing the satin stitch around the whole gift, the blue stitching that you see here. I'm thinking to myself, well, wait, usually, because I have to join it to the bottom of this, they would not have the satin stitch there yet. So I stopped the machine and took a look, and sure enough, it didn't stop to do that. It had been blended right in with these other stitches. So I thought, what am I going to do? Well, I didn't really want to have to scrap this center piece, because that center piece took a while to do, for one thing. So I thought, well, maybe I can go back, and you can, in the embroidery machine, to that moment where it's going to start doing the joining stitch, put my piece down, as I would, and let it go. Now that meant that this satin stitch along these cuffs, along these mitts, and the bottom of this package would be slightly cut off, and it would be kind of bulky. So I thought, can I satin stitch over what I already have done once I've got the join in? I thought, well, what the hell? I mean, worst case scenario, I'm going to have to redo it from the start. So I tried that. It worked. as you can see, everything looks perfectly normal, absolutely normal. And so that works. So here's a lesson. I kind of knew this would work, all right, to be honest, but you never know for sure. But if you ever do something like this and you've made a mistake and you're at a point where, oh my God, I've spent 2 hours on this thing, I don't want to start over, try stitching over top of it. You can stitch over top of an existing satin stitch. Will it make something a little bulkier? Not by much, not by much. As you can see here, this whole section right here along this join, all of that there's a double satin stitch under that. So yeah, now if your needle is a relatively new needle, that's good because you want a really sharp needle when you do this because it's going to go through several layers of tightly sewn thread. But you can do it. So don't feel that something you need to discard it, you're frustrated the whole bit and throw it out and start all over again. You may be able to rescue it. It's possible. I'm living proof of it. Okay. Yeah. So I went with Walter to his sew day, his in-person sew day. I've gone a couple of times before, but I don't usually go. In fact, usually when I know that he has a sewing day, I plan a pop-up sew day on that particular occasion as well. Because I don't really feel like dragging my sewing machine down to where they have this, and they're all garment sewers. So I'm odd man out. I mean, they're a good group. I have a good enough time when I'm there and everything, but yeah. But anyways, I decided I want to go this time. And so I worked on what you see, those 4 blocks up at the top. It is a Christmas quilt. I forget what it's called. Mistletoe is the pattern. It comes from a book by Chelsea Stratton and what's her name? Sherry McConnell, mother-daughter team. You've probably heard of them. And I do like Chelsea's patterns because they're very easy to follow. But the end result is very nice. And you can see that the end result, this is going to be very nice too. There are more blocks to go. And it is a combination of reds and greens. You'll see. So the predominant color here is red in what's up here, but then there'll be other ones. The predominant color will be green. And then you lay them out and whatever. So this is something I'm working on. Will this be done by Christmas Day? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I'm working on other projects. Like, for example, the cardinal you see there. Well, this is an in-the-hoop thread painting kind of thing. They're intense because the only fabric that's in this is the background fabric, the black. Everything else is all thread. And yeah, they do take some time to do. Now, this one is a small piece. I've done really big ones, and they come out at Christmas time, but there's some behind me as well. You can't see them. And yeah, I like doing them, but they are very, very time consuming. This has 4 panels, and then they get sewn together, and I decide how I want to finish it off. I am playing with the idea if I can find a frame big enough for this, because they do sort of look like a painting, and maybe put that in it instead of actually putting some batting underneath it and a backing and that kind of thing. I might do it that way. I'll have to see. Now, since I took this picture, I have another panel already done and half of a third one. And as I said, there are 4 in this. So possibly next week I'll have it done and be able to show it to you then. Do I have anything else up here to show you? I don't think so. I think that takes me... Oh, yes, I do. Okay. But I don't want to talk about that yet. No. Okay, let's come back to me. Okay, so those are the projects I've been working on, and yeah, they never end, do they? And I'm just getting to the point where I have no place to put them. I have no place to give them. So having said that, I am seriously thinking, you know how at the end of the year, when we're coming up to it, you start making plans for the next year, and then you never do them. But, I'm like that. But I'm really thinking I have a few of these quilt things I want to get out of the way. And after I do that, I think I'm going to turn my attention more to bag making. I have got several bag patterns I've had for quite a while that I want to make, and I've just never gotten around to it. Well, I'm thinking come, in the next month or in the new year, I'm going to concentrate more on bag making and, kind of hone my skills on doing that. I know how to make a simple tote bag, although I always have to second guess myself on that. But there are other bags I want to make, more elaborate bags too. So, yeah, I think I'm going to start going in that direction a little bit. Um, but we'll see. Squirrel all the time with me. Okay, so what's coming up? Sewing with me, as usual, Sewing with Stephen, Wednesdays, 9 a.m. start. We go to 4 p.m. Eastern. Well, all are welcome. Come join us. Links in the show notes. We have a good time. Get caught up on things. And you probably have things you're starting to panic about right now because 'tis the season, isn't it? So, yeah, great opportunity for you to set some serious time aside to do some serious sewing, but have a good time at the same time. So, as I said, link is in the show notes. And this Saturday coming, November the 22nd, 2025, I'm having a pop-up sew day. If you've never been to a pop-up sew day, they're very much like sewing on Wednesdays, except we start at 8 o'clock. We end at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's come and go. It is a Zoom. Link is in the show notes right below. There are 2 links in the show notes. Just be aware of that. One, read them carefully. One says pop-up sew day. That's the first one. And the second one is the Sewing with Stephen. People sometimes get those mixed up and they sit there for a while waiting for me to let them in. And I never let them in because I don't know you're there because you've clicked the wrong link. So it's it right there in the title. Just read it. It's very easy to do. Okay. If you're somebody new to using Zoom, and there are a few of you still out there, but you'd really like to come, but you're afraid of the technology, don't be afraid of the technology. All you need is an electronic device. I think it works best if you have a laptop, but if you have an iPad, if you have an iPhone, you can do this. You need to have your camera turned on all those devices because all those devices have cameras in them. So, figure out how to turn on your camera and figure out how to turn on your microphone. Your speakers should be automatically on so you can hear us. That's all you need to do. And if you click on the link, it'll bring you right to us. You don't need any special programs or anything like that. You don't need to have a membership on Zoom or anything like that. You just click on the link and away you go. And if you're still having some technical problems, but you're there, you get in, then we'll help you out. Not to worry. We can help you out. We'll try to solve whatever problem you might be having. So don't be afraid of the tech. Okay, so already talked about Walter's Sew Day, but I'm just going to say a couple of things. It was a good day. There are not many people at it, and they're all guys, except there were two ladies and 4 gentlemen. And they are all working on garments, including Walter, of course. He was working on a shirt for him. And when he gets that done, we'll show it to you. And the funny thing was, they work on garments, but 2 of the guys do drag. They have this sew day in the local gay club. They use that. And so these guys and sometimes they're working on drag outfits, okay? Like ball gowns kind of a thing. And they're both excellent sewists, really are. Brendan, who puts this thing together, he is the instructor. Walter learned from him how to make shirts and other things and whatnot. One of the guys showed us a jacket that he made from oilcloth. It was gorgeous. And Walter has made a jacket before, but he never wears it. And I said to him, I want one of those. When you get that shirt done, I want one of those jackets because it was really nice. And Walter would be very capable of making such a thing. Just he has to be in the mood for it. So, but he has been looking for a bit of a challenge lately in the sewing. I mean, he has made a lot of shirts, I should really count up how many I've got, but I'd say he's made me about 17 or 18, and he's made some for himself. So he's probably made over 25 shirts. So yeah, he's good at it. Um, but he says he wants a challenge, so there's his challenge. And I'd get a jacket. Anyways, these two guys that I'm talking about, the instructor and the one that was wearing his jacket he'd made, they were making bathing suits. They're going to Puerto Vallarta in February, I think, or something like that. They go every year. And it is a gay, Puerto Vallarta, if you don't know, is very much a gay destination, not destiny, yeah, destination. And so they're making these bathing suits, and they are pretty wild. The fabric has sparkles in it. Well, would you expect anything less? But you know, but look kind of cool. And I mean, they say they're not hard to make, just 3 pieces and all this kind of stuff. But I think now, if they were going to a straight beach, they would stand out. But because they're going to a gay beach, I think they'll blend right in very nicely with the crowd. But anyways, yeah, and the other people there, they were working on whatever they were working on. So I worked on the quilt. It's a little different atmosphere from one of my Wednesday sew days or from a pop-up sew day. Well, different people, mainly because there's more men at it. And don't take this the wrong way, but there's less chatter. Okay, I found that. Um, but still a very pleasant group. But I prefer my people. Well, I'm more at home with, all the people that come to my pop-up sew day or to that. Does that sound bad? Um, Now, having said that, I think I may be going in December to their next one. And they're going to have a little, one of the ladies there, she suggested, she'd pick up a thing of sandwiches or something from Costco or whatever. And we have a little Christmas celebration. And I have to take them something. I already took them a nutcracker, which you've seen me making on my 3D printers. But I'm sure I can find another little goodie bag. Got to think about that if I'm going. You know how I like to go to these things and I like to take something to give them people. Also, it gives me incentive to make things on my printer. Okay. So anyways, it was a very nice day and I got a lot done. So moving on then. So Chatty this week, if you haven't seen it, someone brought up the discussion of what to make, more or less, a man using our sewing skills for Christmas. And that is a hard one. It's really easy if you're a quilter or sewist. I mean, you could make them a shirt if you know how to make shirts. You can make them a quilt, but, and that may be nice, but does the man want the quilt? I don't know. So anyways, this gave me some thoughts about, in a day and age, they used to make things by hand all the time. So I thought I'd look at what the trends were for Christmas gift giving since, the Victorian times up to our present time and how those things have changed. And then specifically focus on things that you could give the man in your life that you can make. And trying to think a little outside of the box. So if you saw that, that's what So Chatty was all about on Friday. Okay, and I always need ideas for So Chatty and for Stephen and Walter Live, actually for anything that I do here. I'm always looking for other ideas, things you would be interested in. So please, no idea is a dumb idea. Every idea gives me more ideas. So yeah, so please, drop them in the comment box below on any of my videos or send me an email with a suggestion in it and I'll be happy to think about it and see what I can do with it. Okay, thinking of ideas. I don't know why I had this idea, but I did and I'm loving it. Okay, I have these little 12 by 12 design boards I made, quite some time ago. They're ones that when I'm laying out, for a block or pieces for like half square triangles or flying geese, I will put them on this little design board, and then I just take the whole pile over to my sewing machine and away I go. And I have about 4 of these, 4 or 5 of them. Well, they were getting a little ratty looking with whatever it was that I covered them in at one point in time. So I thought I'd recover them. And so I did. And I remembered that I had some flannel, this Gnome flannel fabric, which I have no idea what to do with because it's flannel. I bought it by accident. I thought it was cotton. I don't know why. Got in with the other stuff I was buying, and it's been sitting on my shelf forever. And so I thought, well, I'll recover. And so I did. I recovered all 4 boards with it, so they look very nice now. And of course, it's flannel, so my pieces will stick to it. I have been taking these boards, though, and shoving them underneath my project table, which is kind of messy under there for doing that kind of thing. And I thought, I need something where I can see them, because I like the fabric, for one thing, and where I can, when I need it, I just pull it out. I don't have to go like round, digging around underneath my project table. So have 3D printer will create. So I looked for a file, a model that made like a file holder box. And this is exactly what this is. It's a file holder box. I altered the dimensions so it fits my 4 design boards, and it hangs on my wall over near where my sewing machine is. So it looks nice on the wall with this fabric on it, and it's very handy. It's a practical print, as they say. So I'm very pleased with myself that I was able to do something like that. And I'm always pleased when I can make something with my 3D printer that has a practical use to it, besides, just something that's going to sit on a shelf and gather dust. Okay, so did I have something else to show you? I did. So I like to take gifts to any group thing that I go to. Well, Brendan, the organizer of Walter's Sew Day, had recently been to London, England, to visit his daughter because she lives there, and he brought us back a thimble. Now, I don't use a thimble, but this is really more of a decorative thimble kind of a thing. But it's very nice. It says London on one side, and on the back it's got the British flag, and it says England. And I thought that was very nice of him to do that. Walter got one as well. I think Walter's might be slightly different. I don't know. We were having this discussion the other day. But anyways, I have it. I don't want to lose it, but I also want to leave it out where, I can see it. So I have it over on my shelf behind my sewing machine where I have a few other little thingies there. So yeah, that was very, very nice of Brendan to bring those back to us. Okay, so that takes me to Subscribers Quilt of the Week, and this one comes from a very good friend of the channel and of me, and that is Sue Norfleet, and here's her beautiful creation. This week's quilt from a subscriber comes from a good friend of mine and a good subscriber, yes, good subscriber to the channel as well. And this is Sue Norfleet, and we've seen some of her beautiful creations before, and this is another one. And she says about this one, this spring our family is welcoming a new member, a baby girl. Her mother has chosen pink and sage green as the nursery colors. The pattern is based on swallows, a fat quarter shot pattern from several years ago. It is 49 by 51 inches, a good size for tummy time now and dragging around when she's older. I quilt it with echoed wavy lines. Well, this is fantastic. And this sage and pink kind of a thing seems to be on trend with this year's colors. I love the birds that are in it, and those are all pieced together by the looks of things, not applique. And that makes it quite approachable because a lot of people don't like doing foundation paper piecing. At least I don't think it's foundation paper piecing. I think it is all patchwork. I love the quilting that you've done in it as well. It gives the whole piece a sense of movement. So yes, I think this is a really great baby quilt. And as you said, it'll be great when she gets a little older and can drag it around with her. So thank you, Sue, for submitting this picture of your beautiful baby quilt. So that takes me to YouTube channel of the week. And oh, by the way, if you've got something you would like me to feature on here, and it doesn't have to be a quilt, it can be anything that you've made, one picture, 50 words or less about it, send that to me via email as an attachment, and I would be happy to show it. So as I said, YouTube channel of the week. Well, this one's called No Paycheck, Still Quilting, 5 Budget Tips for Quilters. And this comes from Becca of Sew Becca. And she's got some really good ideas to, do quilting on a budget. And don't we all need a budget these days with the way prices have gone up? So take a look at this. This week's YouTube channel of the week comes from Sew Becca, and we all know Sew Becca. She's very, very popular, and if you've never checked out her YouTube channel, it's a must-do. And on this particular one, she calls it No Paycheck, Still Quilting, 5 Budget Tips for Quilters. Well, I hate to bring it up, but with the shutdown in the United States over the last month, 40-some days, a lot of people aren't getting their paychecks on a regular basis, and this would definitely affect buying quilting supplies. So Becca has solutions to that, and here she talks about 5 tips for quilters that are all very approachable and will make quilting very affordable. And the one thing I often hear from people who want to get into quilting is they say, well, it's very, very expensive. Well, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And that's what Becca is addressing here in this particular video. So you want to find some ways to save some money while doing your favorite hobby? Then check out No Paycheck, Still Quilting, 5 Budget Tips for Quilters by Sew Becca. And that takes me to future projects, and this one is called True North, and it is a Quilt of Valor pattern. This week's future project is another Quilts of Valor quilt that I want to do very soon, and this one is called True North, and it is available on the Quilts of Valor Canadian site. Very reasonably priced, and you're supporting the Quilts of Valor by purchasing it. And it's by someone that I know fairly well, Paul Leger. And it's paullegerquilts.com, so you can go to his website as well and probably find it there too. But it's very patriotic. It is made up of stylized maple leaves, as you can see, but the way that they're put together, it makes a secondary pattern that really stands out quite nicely. Very basic in its color scheme. Of course, these are the colors of Canada, and that's red and white. Now, I'm sure you could do it in any color scheme that you wish, but this is definitely one that I want to do and donate to the Quilts of Valor very soon. So if you're interested in purchasing this pattern and supporting the Canadian Quilts of Valor, then you'll find the link for it in the show notes below. And again, it is called True North. So I was almost afraid I was not going to have anything for What's Twisting My Seams this week, but I got something. And this comes from Melissa Van Buskirk, another friend of the channel's. We have seen some of her beautiful embroidered creations on here before, but here's what's twisting her seams. This week's submission for What's Twisting My Seams comes from Melissa Van Buskirk, and she writes about this panel. This Hoffman Dream big panel I have had to have bothers me naggingly from the closet. I bought it in 2019 for $30 from Amazon, including the shipping. I had seen one that someone had free motioned or ruler quilted that looked fantastic. I was on a mission. I tried to free motion quilt practice, and that can best be described as a complete train wreck. I think of making it into a throw once in a while, and I've even considered making a Roman blind. I was horrified at the number of years ago when I saw someone in a YouTube video cut one up and use the pieces in something. Maybe she was onto something. She did use it, and it's gone. Well, thank you, Melissa, for sending this to us. And you want to know something? I did the same thing. I saw this panel, and I thought this would be great practice for long arm quilting and even domestic quilting. And guess what? I did the same thing as you. It's still in my stash. I never got around to it, and now I could care less about it. So maybe cutting it up into smaller pieces and making it into something else is a great idea. So thank you, Melissa, for sharing your What's Twisting My Seams with us this week. And please, I also need more things to show for this segment as well. And all you need to do is just pull something out of your stash that you'd forgotten you may have bought a long time ago or whatever, and just answer 3 questions very quickly for me. What was it that attracted you to this piece of fabric that made you want to buy it? 2, have you done anything with it, or is it just still sitting in your stash? And 3, do you still love it as much as you did on the day that you bought it, or do you question yourself as to why the heck you bought it in the first place? And why is that? And that's all. And just send that picture and attached to an email with the answers to those questions. They're very short answers, and I'd be happy to feature it here. Please. Okay, so what am I working on? Well, you've already seen most of the stuff, but here's my review of my week. So this week I started a new project on the embroidery machine. This is a wall hanging. It's all done in thread. Basically, it's a thread painting kind of thing, and it features cardinals. As you can see, this is just the first panel, so we'll see how that goes. Of course, you've already seen the table runner, and I've got to get that onto Lucy, and along with another table runner I've had hanging out in the Lucy room for quite a while, and get those quilted. My project table is in the far corner over here, as you can see. It's looking pretty neat because I've cleaned off a lot of things, and I'm starting another quilt, a Christmas quilt that should be fairly fast to put together. Don't really have anybody in mind to give it to, but we'll see how that works out. The 3D printers have been going like mad because I'm still making Christmas gifts and things like that in them. And of course, there's always interesting Christmassy items that you can print on your 3D printer, and that always gets me going. And of course, another thing that gets me going is when things break down, and this is my original bamboo X1C. I love them, as you know, but this one finally gave up the ghost, at least as far as the hot end is concerned. So I ordered a couple of new hot ends, and it looks like I've had a little practice. I'm pretty sure I can replace it myself. Well, they're designed to replace them yourself, and I think that should solve my problem. This is one of the things that does go on printers, but I have to say, I haven't had a lick of problems with this machine since I got it, and I've had it now for 6 months or that kind of thing, and I use it constantly. Almost every day this is up and running. So yeah, I'm waiting for that new part to come in. It's supposed to arrive shortly. It's usually pretty fast. I've already had the notice from UPS that it's on its way. So yeah, and here, these ones, these may be older printers, but you know, they still work and they're still very reliable. So I keep using them. So yeah, and I sent my quilt off, my Stormy Sea quilt, to get quilted, and I've been told that that will be probably done before Christmas. So no rush, but that would be great if it was, because I'd love to show it off on when we have my family here for Christmas dinner. Anyways, that's what I've been up to this week, and so stay tuned for more because I'm always doing something. So that takes me to online quilt store review, and this one is called, and this is a hard name to say, Hyggeligt Fabric. It's in St. Mary's, Ontario. I have been to their physical location some time ago. They had a wonderful collection of Cafe facet fabrics, but they also have a great selection online. So here's my review of Hyggeligt Fabric. This week's online quilt store is one that I actually have been to, but it was before the pandemic, so it's been a while since I've been there, and I found the store itself very fascinating. But today we're not looking at the store, we're looking at the website, and it's called Hyggeligt.ca, Hyggeligt Fabric, and they really specialize in specialized fabrics. As you can see here, they have Cafe facet, Liberty, Shawashi, Fabulism, Tula Pink, and that kind of thing. So, but they do have other brands as well, but they do have a vast collection in their store and online of Cafe and of all these other particular specialized brands. Now, if we take a quick look at their front page, they have featured products, which seem to be some Cafe. They have some new products. If you're into ruler foot quilting, they have sets of rulers for that, and they have a newsletter and that kind of thing. So let's jump into fabric, and I see they have more quilty cotton fabric, so let's look at that. And on the left hand side, they have Moda Grunge, wide backs, batiks, And then call it solids and cotton solids and blenders, Dutch heritage fabrics, interesting. And more fabrics. And so they take you to that. Well, let's just go back, and I want to find a price here and what they're charging. So Moda Grunge, because everybody likes Moda Grunge, is a nice blender background. They sell it by the yard, not by the meter. Okay, one point against them for that. They are a Canadian store, and it's $9.96 for half a yard. So basically, you're saying about $20 a yard, which is middle of the road price. That's for grunge, and they have a good selection of that. But now let's check out their section on cotton solids. Okay, cotton solids. $6.45 a half yard, so that's what, about $13.90. Is that right? About $13.90 for a yard, which again is very reasonable price, but they are just solids. Do we have anything in just everyday prints? Don't seem to. But let's check your batiks. And batiks are running $19 a yard. And a fairly good selection as well. So that's okay. Now let's take a look at their specialties. We have K facet running at, okay, that's a wide back. And that's 104 by 108. So basically 3 yards at 108. $75? That's not bad, because that basically is what, $25 a yard. So that's on the lower end of what people are usually selling 108 for. But they do have other prices as well, and wider fabrics too. So read the description carefully, I would say, to make sure you're picking exactly what you want. But price-wise, I think it's fairly reasonable. That was for wide back. But they have bundles as well. Yeah, I'm a little confused at the way these things are mixed together. So they're basically selling K facet at about $18. $17, 17, 18, anywhere from, let's see, about 17, a little over $17 a yard. And as I said, a good selection. Okay, that's in batik. Sorry, what am I doing? I don't know. I'm getting myself all screwed up on this website. Okay, let's try Liberty, because, everybody wants Liberty fabrics. And yeah, expensive. But that's to be expected, because they are Tanalon, which is a very nice cotton, and they're $25 a half yard, so $50 a half yard or a yard. So yeah, but not a bad selection. Fairly good selection, actually, and they do have them in fat quarter bundles as well. Let's take a look at Tula, because it says sale next to Tula. Okay, $6.95, so about $14 a yard. And these are some of her basics, but a few of her printed ones too. And I think that's actually a reasonable price for Tula. They do say it's a sale. And they have several pages of them. Yeah, not a bad selection in the ones that are more workable with a quilt, as opposed to her large prints. And let's just see here. Yeah, and a lot of her solids. And there are some of her prints too, some of them older collections, but that's okay. So not a bad selection in Tula Pink if you want something that, in my mind, is workable as a quilt. Okay, what else can we look at? This is African fabric, and it's $22 a meter. Now they've switched over to meter. Okay, pick one or the other, I would say. Not a bad selection of African fabrics. And they have them all listed too by color ranges on the left-hand side, which is helpful. I don't know what Fabulism supply company is. They're running at about $19 a yard. Interesting fabric. I don't know if this is quilting cotton or this is more garment. I think this is more, well, I don't know. I really don't know. Let's just click on one and see if there's a description. It's reversible. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I'm just looking down here quickly at what they say here. It is wovens. Yeah, I think this is more garment fabric than quilting. Okay, they have paper piecing. Looks like there's kits for all of that. All right, so if you want to get into paper piecing, might be a good way to get started, buy a kit. Tools and notions, kits, patterns, and books. And yep, they do have patterns for, looks like women's clothing, but they also have looks like paper piece patterns and quilt patterns as well. So some interesting, unusual patterns. So if you want something a little different, they do offer, if you're in the area, workshops and classes. They have a tour. Looks like going to Paris at some point. And they're advertising a quilt show that we might be going to this coming weekend, or may have been by the time you see this. But they don't really show any kind of workshops or classes, just retreats. They do have an end of the bolt and remnants sale. So various things in here. Looks like there's a little bit of Tula, a lot of Tula actually in here as well. And not bad prices. Okay, anything else we can look at? We didn't look at tools and notions, but those are pretty much your standard. Like I said, they do have rulers for ruler foot quilting. And a Bernina toolbox. Another Bernina supplies. I don't believe they sell sewing machines, but they do have some things for sewing machines. Okay, well, I think that's it. The one thing I haven't checked out and I haven't found yet, let's see if there's something down here about shipping. Let's see, possibly under policies. Looks like they carry some Sue Spargo as well if you're into embroidery. Shipping, here we go. They are shipped by either UPS or Canada Post. You can choose the service you want. And they're not really saying what it costs. Okay, so I guess you'll find that out when you check out. And if it goes by Canada Post, yeah, I can't even say. I can't say how much it's going to cost for that. Okay, so overall, I think they have an unusual selection of fabric. And by unusual, I mean something a little different, although they do carry, you know, the big names like Cafe and Tula, etc. And Liberty, of course, if you're into the market for Liberty. Their prices seem to be reasonable. Shipping time is by Canada Post or UPS, which is pretty much standard, and we don't know the cost of that. So overall, I'm going to give the Hyggeligt Fabric store, I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10. You may want to check it out. And you, especially if you're in the St. Mary's area of Ontario, you should check out their store. It's fantastic. Okay, so that's it for me today. Just a reminder that there is a pop-up sew day this coming Saturday, November the 22nd, 2025. Links in the show notes. And those of you on my mailing list, I have already sent that link out to you. And if you want to be on my mailing list, all you need to do is send me an email with your full name, first and last, please, and the email address that you wish to be contacted at. That's it. And you're on the mailing list. And I do not inundate you with stuff all the time. I simply use it to send you the link for Pop-Up Sew Day. And when we get around to retreat time, virtual retreat time again, you will be getting things through that about how to sign up for it. But that's not going to happen until the spring sometime for the next one. So yeah. And if on the odd occasion I have a special event, then I will send that out to you as well. But no, I'm not a business, so you don't have to worry about me inundating you with, buy this, get this, whatever, or any other things. Okay, I hope you have a great week. Hope to see you on So Chatty on Friday. Don't know what we're talking about, but I never do. And of course, Stephen and Walter live on Saturday. So have a great week. Bye for now.